The emergency lights in the Galactic Council chamber burned red for the first time in 300 years. Representatives from dozens of worlds sat in their floating seats, their faces showing fear and confusion. At the center of the massive room, 3 holographic images rotated slowly. Each one showed the same terrible sight: massive warships floating dead in space, their hulls intact but their crews simply gone. Admiral Krath of the Vryn Sovereignty spoke first, his forearms gesturing at the images. 17 of our battlecruisers vanished over 6 weeks. No distress calls, no signs of weapons fire. We found them drifting near the outer rim completely empty. Every single crew member gone. General Voss of the Kauth Dominion slammed his fist on his console. 23 of our ships, the same pattern. Our investigators found nothing. No bodies, no blood, no evidence of boarding. It is as if our warriors simply walked into space and disappeared. The Tesseract representative, a floating crystalline being named Venthara, added her report. Our colony ships have suffered similar fates. 12 vessels carrying over 40,000 souls, all missing. This is not piracy. This is something we have never seen before. In the back corner of the chamber, almost hidden from view, sat the human delegation. Commander Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force watched the proceedings with growing frustration. Her small team occupied the cheapest seats, the ones reserved for minor species with no real power. For 200 years, humanity had sat in these seats, grateful just to be allowed in the room. Chen leaned toward her aide, Lieutenant Marcus Webb. "We should tell them," she whispered. 3 human colonies have gone dark in the last month. Nobody is answering our calls. Webb shook his head. "They won't listen, Commander." "They never do." He was right. When Chen requested permission to speak, the Council barely acknowledged her. Admiral Krath waved one hand dismissively. "The human delegation may submit a written report. We have more important matters to discuss. More important than human lives." Chen felt the familiar burn of anger in her chest but forced it down. This was how it always went. Humanity had been granted access to the stars, but only on the Council's terms. They were given old technology, restricted to small territories, and treated like children who needed constant supervision. The truth was darker than most humans knew. 200 years ago, Earth had nearly destroyed itself in a nuclear war. When the Galactic Council found them, humanity was on the brink of extinction. The Council offered salvation. They would relocate the survivors, give them new worlds, and teach them how to live among the stars. But there was a price. Humanity would never again be allowed to develop their own weapons. They would serve the galaxy as miners, laborers, and foot soldiers. They would be grateful for their second chance. Chen had read the classified reports. She knew what the Council really feared. They had studied Earth's history, seen the wars, the weapons, the terrifying efficiency with which humans killed each other. The Council decided that humanity needed to be controlled, contained, civilized. They took away Earth's teeth and convinced everyone it was for the greater good. But now someone was targeting human colonies, and the Council did not care. The session ended with no answers and no action. Chen gathered her team and headed for the shuttle bay. They had their own investigation to conduct, with or without Council approval. 3 days later, Chen's ship, the Determination, arrived at the coordinates of Colony 7. The settlement should have been home to 15,000 people. Instead, they found wreckage. "Scan everything," Chen ordered. "I want to know what happened here." Webb worked the sensors while Chen studied the debris field. The colony's defensive satellites were destroyed, but not by conventional weapons. The metal had been sliced through with surgical precision. This was not a random attack. "Commander, I'm picking up a data core," Webb announced. "It's badly damaged, but some files are intact." They retrieved the core and brought it aboard. As their systems worked to decrypt the data, Chen felt a chill run down her spine. Something about this felt wrong. The attacks on Council ships, the missing colonies, the perfect timing. This was not random. This was planned. The data core finally opened, revealing fragmentary records. Most were corrupted, but one file caught Chen's attention. It was marked with a designation she had never seen before. Ghost Fleet Archive, Eyes Only. Ghost Fleet? Webb said, confused. "What is that?" Chen searched their database and found only myths and rumors. According to legend, during Earth's evacuation 2 centuries ago, an entire fleet of warships had vanished. Some said they were destroyed in the final battles. Others claimed they had gone rogue, refusing to accept the council's terms. Most historians dismissed the stories as fiction, a romantic tale of human defiance that never actually happened. But here was a data core referencing the Ghost Fleet as if it were real. Before Chen could investigate further, alarms screamed across the bridge. "Multiple contacts!" Webb shouted. "They just appeared out of nowhere." On the main screen, shapes materialized from the darkness of space. Dozens of ships, their hulls scarred and ancient, bearing designs Chen recognized from history books. These were Earth warships from the old days, before the Council, before the restrictions. Ships that should not exist anymore. The communication system crackled to life. The voice that came through was human, but tired and old beyond measure. Terran Defense Force Vessel Determination. This is Ghost Fleet Actual. Cease all scanning operations and stand down. We have been watching. We have been waiting. And we are very, very displeased with what we have seen. Chen stared at the screen, unable to speak. Around her ship, the ghosts of Earth's past hung in the void like predators circling prey. Her hands gripped the armrests of her chair as one thought filled her mind. Everything was about to change. The flagship of the Ghost Fleet looked like something from a museum, but Chen could see the weapon systems were anything but ancient. Strange additions covered the hull, technology she did not recognize mixed with the familiar lines of old Earth design. This was a ship that had evolved, grown, and learned in the darkness between stars. "They want us to dock," Webb said quietly. "Commander, this could be a trap." Chen knew he was right to be cautious. But something in that voice on the communication channel had sounded honest, almost sad. She made her decision. "Tell them we accept. But keep our weapons ready, just in case." The docking procedure was smooth and professional. When Chen and her security team entered the Ghost Fleet flagship, they found themselves in corridors that were clean, maintained, and definitely lived in. This was not some abandoned relic. This was a functioning warship. Admiral Marcus Thorne waited for them in what looked like an observation deck. He was tall and thin, his hair completely white, his face lined with centuries of worry. But his eyes were sharp and clear. Behind him, through the massive window, dozens of Ghost Fleet ships hung in formation. "Commander Chen," Thorne said, his voice carrying the weight of too many years. "Thank you for coming. I imagine you have questions." Chen stepped forward, her hand resting on her sidearm. "Who are you? What is the Ghost Fleet? And what do you want with us?" Thorne smiled sadly. "Direct, I like that, very well. I am Admiral Marcus Thorne, commander of the 1st Expeditionary Fleet. We left Earth 212 years ago. The Council thinks we were destroyed. We preferred it that way." He gestured for them to sit. Chen remained standing, but Thorne sat down heavily, as if the weight of his story was too much to carry. When the Council offered to save humanity, Thorne continued, "Most people were grateful. Earth was dying after all. But some of us read the terms carefully. We saw what they really wanted, to make sure humans never became a threat. They were going to take our weapons, our technology, our freedom. They were going to make us into servants." "So you ran," Chen said. "We fled," Thorne corrected, "along with 50,000 volunteers, families, engineers, scientists, soldiers. We took everything we could carry and disappeared into the dark. We have been out here ever since, watching humanity crawl and beg for scraps from species that fear what you could become." Webb spoke up. "Why reveal yourselves now? After 2 centuries? Thorne's expression hardened. "Because the Council has decided humanity has outlived its usefulness. The Vryn sovereignty has been orchestrating attacks on human colonies. They plan to frame the Kalth Dominion for it, start a war and eliminate the human problem as collateral damage. We have the proof. We have been tracking their operations for months." Chen felt ice run through her veins. "The Council knows about this?" "Some do. Others are ignorant. But the pattern is clear. The Vryn have been testing our response, seeing if anyone would care when humans died. And the answer, Commander, is that nobody cares. Nobody except us." Thorne stood and walked to the window. "Do you know what we have been doing out here for 200 years? We have been studying every major power in this galaxy. We know their weaknesses, their tactics, their fears. We have stolen their technology and made it better. We have become very, very good at war, and now we are going to teach the Council why they were right to fear humanity." Chen shook her head. "You cannot start a war. That will destroy everything humans have built." "Built?" Thorne laughed bitterly. "You have built nothing, Commander. You live in cages the Council gave you. You fly ships they allow you to have. You fight in their wars and die for their profits. That is not building, that is surviving. And humanity deserves better than survival. Before Chen could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A Ghost Fleet officer rushed onto the observation deck. Admiral Vryn Fleet detected. They are moving on Convoy 7, 2,000 civilian refugees. Thorne's face became stone. How many Vryn ships? 43 warships, sir. They will reach the convoy in 20 minutes. Chen stepped forward. We have to warn the convoy. Get them to scatter. They will never escape in time, Thorne said. He turned to his officer. Battle stations. All ships engage. Show them what we learned from their own tactics. The Ghost Fleet moved with terrifying precision. Ships that had been drifting in formation suddenly burned at full acceleration. Their courses calculated to intercept the Vryn armada. Chen watched from the observation deck, unable to look away. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. Chen had studied military history her entire career. She had read about Earth's ancient wars, the strategies and tactics that humans had developed when they fought only each other. But reading about it and seeing it were completely different. The Ghost Fleet did not charge head-on like honorable warriors. They used the convoy as bait, letting the Vryn think they had an easy target. Then they struck from 3 directions at once, focusing all their firepower on the Vryn command ships. When the Vryn tried to regroup, the Ghost Fleet had already moved, hitting them from a new angle. It was like watching sharks hunt, efficient and merciless. When the Vryn finally tried to retreat, they found their escape routes blocked. The Ghost Fleet had planned this from the beginning. No mercy, no survivors. 43 Vryn warships became 43 clouds of debris. Chen felt sick. This was not defense. This was slaughter. Thorne stood beside her, his face showing no emotion. Record this, Commander. Take it back to Earth. Show them what we did. Let humanity see that we do not have to beg anymore. This will start a war, Chen whispered. Good, Thorne said. Wars end. Humiliation lasts forever. For 2 centuries, humanity has been humiliated. Today, that ends. He walked to the communication station and opened a channel to the entire galaxy, broadcasting on every frequency the Council used. Attention, Galactic Council. This is the Ghost Fleet. For 200 years, you have underestimated humanity. You mistook our restraint for weakness, our mercy for fear. You thought you had civilized us, tamed us, made us safe. You were wrong. We are what happens when humans stop asking for permission. You wanted to see what we are capable of? Now you will learn why Earth's greatest export has always been nightmares. We are coming. Not for conquest, not for territory, but for respect, and we will have it one way or another. The transmission ended. Silence filled the observation deck. Chen looked at Thorne and saw not a savior but a man who had been alone too long, who had let his anger consume him. But she also saw something else. Humanity's future, for better or worse, had just arrived. The Galactic Council chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives screamed at each other in a dozen languages while the Ghost Fleet's transmission played over and over on every screen. The Vryn sovereignty demanded immediate military action. The Kalth Dominion called for diplomacy. Smaller species watched nervously, wondering if the entire galactic order was about to collapse. In the human delegation's cramped quarters, Chen wrote her report. She had returned from the Ghost Fleet encounter 3 days ago, and Earth's government was demanding answers. What should humanity do? Side with the Council that had controlled them for 2 centuries? Or side with the Ghost Fleet that had just declared war on the galaxy? Webb entered the room carrying a datapad. Commander, you need to see this. Intelligence reports from across the galaxy. Chen read the reports and felt her blood run cold. The Ghost Fleet was not just making threats. They were already hunting. Vryn captains reported seeing phantom ships on their sensors, vessels that appeared and disappeared like smoke. Some claimed they saw ancient Earth warships emerging from asteroid fields or nebulas, watching them, following them. A few ships had disappeared entirely, their last transmissions filled with panic about something appearing right behind them. But it was not just the Vryn. The Kalth Dominion reported similar sightings. Even neutral species were seeing ghost signatures on their sensors, brief contacts that vanished before anyone could get a clear reading. The Ghost Fleet was everywhere and nowhere, spreading fear like a disease. Chen realized what Thorne was doing. This was psychological warfare, something humans had perfected centuries ago. The Ghost Fleet did not need to destroy every enemy ship. They just needed to make everyone afraid. Fear was cheaper than bullets and lasted longer. There is more, Webb said quietly. The Council has offered humanity a deal. Full membership, equal representation, access to their best technology. All we have to do is help them stop the Ghost Fleet. Chen set down the datapad. And if we refuse? They will consider humanity complicit in the Ghost Fleet's actions. We could lose everything we have built. It was the choice Chen had been dreading. Accept the Council's offer and betray the Ghost Fleet, or support the Ghost Fleet and risk humanity's place in the galaxy. Either way, humans would suffer. Before she could respond, emergency alerts flashed across every screen. The Kalth Dominion had launched an assault on human territory. Over 300 warships were burning toward Earth's outer colonies. The message was clear. If humanity would not help stop the Ghost Fleet, the Kalth would eliminate the problem at its source. Chen ran to the command center. Earth's defense forces were scrambling, but they were hopelessly outnumbered. The Kalth fleet would reach the colonies in 6 hours. Millions of humans would die unless someone stopped them. She opened a secure channel, one Thorn had given her before she left. Ghost Fleet, this is Commander Chen. The Kalth are attacking human colonies. 300 ships. We cannot stop them alone. The response came within seconds. Thorn's voice was calm, almost amused. We know, Commander. We have been tracking them since they left Kalth space. Did you think we would abandon humanity now? How many ships can you send? Chen asked. All of them. The Battle of Proxima Drift became the largest space engagement in 200 years. The Kalth fleet arrived at the human colonies expecting easy targets. What they found instead was a nightmare. The Ghost Fleet did not meet them in open battle. Instead, they struck from everywhere at once. Ships appeared behind the Kalth formation, fired devastating volleys, then vanished before the Kalth could respond. When the Kalth tried to regroup, they found Ghost Fleet vessels waiting in ambush. When they tried to scatter, they ran straight into minefields that should not have been there. Chen watched the battle from Earth's orbital command center, unable to believe what she was seeing. The Ghost Fleet fought like nothing the galaxy had ever witnessed. They used tactics from ancient Earth wars, false retreats to draw enemies into kill zones, feint attacks to split formations, coordinated strikes that seemed to predict exactly where the Kalth would move next. But it was not just tactics. The Ghost Fleet's weapons were terrifying. They had somehow combined human engineering with alien technology, creating hybrid systems that no one had defenses against, energy weapons that phased through shields, missiles that could change course mid-flight, boarding pods that cut through hulls like paper. The Kalth fleet tried to adapt, but they were always one step behind. For every move they made, the Ghost Fleet had already prepared a counter. It was like watching a master chess player toy with an amateur. After 6 hours of fighting, the Kalth commander requested surrender. Of the 300 ships that had come to destroy human colonies, only 47 remained functional. The Ghost Fleet had lost 12 ships. Thorn did not accept the surrender. Instead, he broadcast another message, this time directed at the entire Kalth fleet. You came here to eliminate humans because you thought we were weak. You thought our restraint was cowardice. You were wrong. We are the descendants of a species that nearly destroyed itself because we were too good at war. The Council tried to civilize us, to make us safe, but you cannot change nature. You can only hide it. And now you see what we hid. He paused, letting his words sink in. I am going to let you go home. I want you to tell your people what happened here. I want you to tell them about the Ghost Fleet. I want you to spread the word across the galaxy. Humanity is done begging. We tried peace. We tried cooperation. But every time we showed mercy, you saw weakness. So now we show strength. And if that makes us monsters in your eyes, then so be it. Better to be a living monster than a dead saint. The Kalth ships fled. The Ghost Fleet let them go, their sensors tracking every vessel until they jumped to faster than light speed. Chen received a message from Thorn, requesting a private meeting. She took a shuttle to the Ghost Fleet flagship, her mind racing with questions. Thorn met her in the observation deck again, but this time he looked tired. The battle had taken something from him, something even victory could not restore. You won, Chen said. The Kalth will not attack us again. We won a battle, Thorn corrected. But the war is just beginning. The Council will unite against us now. 3 empires, maybe more. They will come with everything they have, and next time they will be ready for our tactics. Chen stepped closer. Then stop. You have made your point. The Council is offering humanity real power. We can negotiate from strength now. End this before more people die. Thorn looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. Choose, Commander. Stand with the Council that abandoned your people or stand with us. But understand, we are not asking humanity to join us. We are asking if humanity is ready to stop apologizing for existing. Chen thought about Earth, about colonies full of families who just wanted to live in peace. She thought about 200 years of humiliation, of being treated like children. She thought about the future, about what kind of galaxy humans would inherit. I need time, she said finally. Thorn nodded slowly. Time is the one thing we do not have. The Council is already preparing their response. Choose quickly, Commander, because when they come, everyone will have to pick a side, and there will be no neutral ground. He walked away, leaving Chen alone with her thoughts and the view of the ghost fleet hanging in space like ancient guardians. She had joined the military to protect humanity. But protect them from what? From the galaxy's threats or from themselves? The announcement came 3 weeks after the Battle of Proxima Drift. The Vryn Sovereignty, the Kalth Dominion, and the Tesseract Collective had formed an alliance for the first time in galactic history. Their target was clear: humanity and the Ghost Fleet. The combined armada would consist of over 10,000 warships, the largest military force ever assembled. Their message to humanity was simple: surrender the Ghost Fleet's coordinates or be destroyed. Earth's government fractured under the pressure. Some colonies advocated immediate surrender, arguing that no military force could stand against 10,000 ships. Others supported the Ghost Fleet, claiming this was humanity's moment to finally break free from Council control. The Terran government in Geneva remained paralyzed, unable to make a decision that would satisfy everyone. Chen stood in the war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the Council armada's movements. They were gathering near the Orion sector, preparing for a massive assault. Intelligence estimated they would be ready to move in 2 weeks. Webb entered the room with new data. Commander, we are receiving reports from our agents in Council space. The Armada is not just targeting the Ghost Fleet. Their battle plans include strikes on Earth itself. They are planning to eliminate humanity's military capability permanently. Chen felt her stomach twist. They are going to bomb Earth? Targeted strikes on our shipyards, weapons facilities, and defense platforms. They say it is to prevent humanity from supporting the Ghost Fleet, but the damage would cripple us for generations. This was it, the moment when humanity's existence hung in the balance. Chen opened a channel to Admiral Thorn. We need to talk, face to face. They met on a neutral station, an abandoned mining facility between Council space and the Ghost Fleet's hidden bases. Thorn arrived alone, a gesture of trust that surprised Chen. She brought only Webb, leaving her security team behind. You were right, Chen said without preamble. The Council does not want peace. They want submission. They are planning to attack Earth. Thorn nodded slowly. I know. We have intercepted their communications. This was always going to happen, Commander. The Council cannot allow humanity to have independence. It threatens their entire power structure. Chen leaned against a railing, looking out at the stars through the station's cracked windows. I spent my whole career believing we could find a peaceful path. That if we proved ourselves worthy, they would accept us as equals. I was naive. Not naive, Thorn said gently. Hopeful. Hope is what kept humanity alive when we should have gone extinct. But sometimes hope is not enough. He moved to stand beside her. I need to tell you something, Commander. Something I have never told anyone outside the Ghost Fleet. Do you know why we really left Earth 200 years ago? Chen shook her head. We left because we were afraid, Thorn admitted. Not of the Council. Of ourselves. We had just watched humanity nearly destroy itself in nuclear fire. We saw what we were capable of when we let our worst instincts take control. When the Council offered to save the survivors, most people saw it as redemption, but we saw it as a cage. And we were terrified that if we stayed in that cage too long, humanity would forget how to be dangerous when it mattered. He turned to look at her. We became the Ghost Fleet not to protect humanity from the galaxy, but to protect the galaxy from what humanity might become if it forgot how to survive. We thought if we stayed in the shadows, if we became the monsters so humanity could stay innocent, we would save both humanity and the galaxy. But now I wonder if we made a mistake. Did we save humanity? Or did we rob you of the strength that comes from surviving your own mistakes? Chen understood. The Ghost Fleet was not just a military force. It was humanity's shadow, the part of themselves they had tried to forget. And now that shadow was demanding recognition. What do you want, Admiral? Chen asked. Really want? I want humanity to choose its own future, Thorne said. Not the future the Council wants. Not the future I want. Your future, and I want to know if you are ready to fight for it. Before Chen could answer, alarms screamed throughout the station. Webb shouted from the command console, "Multiple contacts. The Council Armada is here. They found us." The trap was perfect. The Council fleet had tracked Chen to the meeting, hoping to catch the Ghost Fleet leadership. Over 200 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, surrounding the station. Escape was impossible. Chen looked at Thorne. "Did you know this would happen?" "I suspected," Thorne admitted. "The Council has been very good at tracking our movements lately. Someone on Earth must have betrayed your location. Then why come?" Thorne smiled grimly. "Because I needed you to see what I see. The Council does not want peace. They want control. And they will kill anyone who threatens that control, even if it means starting a war." The Council Fleet Commander's voice echoed through the station. "Ghost Fleet vessels, you are surrounded. Surrender, Admiral Thorne, and we will allow Commander Chen to return to Earth unharmed. You have 5 minutes to comply." Thorne opened a channel to his ships. Chen realized that Ghost Fleet vessels had been hidden throughout the system, waiting for this moment. Dozens of them decloaked, their weapons charging. "This is Admiral Thorne. All ships execute Protocol Omega. Show them what happens when humans stop running." What followed was not a battle. It was a lesson in tactical genius. The system they were in was a binary star system, 2 suns orbiting each other. The Council had chosen it because the gravitational anomalies would prevent the Ghost Fleet from jumping to faster-than-light speed. They had even deployed gravity well generators to make escape impossible. It should have been the Ghost Fleet's tomb. Instead, Thorne turned it into the Council's nightmare. The Ghost Fleet did not engage the Council Armada directly. Instead, they began a complex series of maneuvers, using the binary star's gravity to slingshot their ships around the system. The Council Fleet tried to follow, but their larger, less maneuverable ships could not match the Ghost Fleet's precision flying. Then Thorne activated the trap he had been preparing. The Ghost Fleet had been secretly placing devices near the Council's gravity well generators for days, waiting for this moment. When Thorne gave the signal, those devices activated, overloading the gravity wells and creating a cascade effect. The binary stars, their delicate gravitational balance disrupted, began to interact violently. Solar flares erupted from both suns, washing over the Council Fleet with deadly radiation. The gravity wells meant to trap the Ghost Fleet, instead, pulled Council ships off course, sending them careening into each other or into the path of the solar storms. The Ghost Fleet, flying in perfect formation, navigated through the chaos like dancers. They knew exactly where every gravity eddy would be, where every safe corridor existed. The Council Fleet, caught completely off guard, tore itself apart trying to escape. In 30 minutes, the Council lost nearly 4,000 ships. The Ghost Fleet lost 17. As the survivors fled in panic, Thorne broadcast one final message to the entire galaxy. "We are humanity's echo, the part of us that refuses to die quietly. You wanted to know what makes humans dangerous? It is not our weapons or our tactics. It is that we remember. Every slight, every betrayal, every life you deemed expendable. We are the ghosts of your arrogance, and we will haunt you until you understand. Humanity kneels to no one." Chen watched the Council Fleet retreat and realized everything had changed. The Council's military advantage was gone. Their aura of invincibility was shattered, and humanity, for better or worse, had just announced itself as a galactic power. The aftermath of the Battle of Twin Suns changed the galaxy in ways no one expected. The 3 major empires that had formed the alliance against humanity lost not just ships, but something more valuable: their authority. Smaller species began questioning why they should follow leaders who could lose 4,000 ships in a single engagement. Some approached humanity with trade offers and defense pacts. Others simply stopped answering when the Council called for support. Commander Sarah Chen stood in Earth's orbital station, watching news feeds from across the galaxy. The footage showed protests on Vryn worlds, political upheaval in the Kalth Dominion, and chaos in the Tesseract Collective. The galactic order that had existed for centuries was crumbling. Webb approached with a datapad. "Commander, you have visitors. Admiral Thorne and representatives from Earth's government. They are waiting in conference room 7. Chen took a deep breath. This was the conversation she had been dreading. The decision about humanity's future could not be delayed any longer. The conference room was crowded. On one side sat Earth's civilian leadership, men and women elected to guide humanity through peaceful times. On the other side sat Admiral Thorne, looking older than ever but still carrying himself with military precision. Between them was empty space, waiting for someone to bridge the gap. President Okonkwo of Earth's unified government spoke first. "Commander Chen, you have been in contact with both sides. What is your recommendation?" Chen looked around the room, seeing fear and hope in equal measure. "With respect, Madame President, I think we are asking the wrong question. This is not about choosing between the Council and the Ghost Fleet. This is about deciding what kind of species humanity wants to be." She activated the room's holographic display, showing a map of human territory. "For 200 years we accepted the Council's terms because we were grateful to survive. We let them control us because we thought we deserved punishment for nearly destroying ourselves. But survival is not living, and gratitude should not mean servitude." Thorne nodded slowly. "Continue, Commander. Admiral Thorne, you were right about the Council. They never intended to treat us as equals. But you were wrong about the solution. We cannot become the monsters we fear just to prove we are strong. That path leads nowhere good." Chen changed the display to show both the Ghost Fleet and the Terran Defense Force. "I propose a third option. We merge the Ghost Fleet with Earth's military, creating a new organization, the Terran Accord. We combine the Ghost Fleet's experience and technology with Earth's legitimate authority and moral compass. We become strong enough to defend ourselves, but accountable enough to use that strength wisely." The room erupted in argument. Some civilian leaders thought it was too dangerous to give the Ghost Fleet legitimacy. Some Ghost Fleet officers thought it was betrayal to accept civilian oversight. But Chen kept talking, her voice cutting through the noise. "The galaxy is watching us right now. They are trying to figure out what humanity will do with this power we suddenly have. If we choose domination, we become everything the Council feared. If we choose submission, we prove the Council was right to control us. But if we choose responsibility, if we show that power can be used for justice instead of conquest, we can change everything." President Okonkwo looked at Thorne. "Admiral, would you accept civilian authority?" Thorne was quiet for a long moment. Chen could see the struggle in his eyes. He had spent 2 centuries in command, answerable to no one. The idea of surrendering that independence went against everything he had built. "I would," Thorne finally said, "on one condition. Humanity must prove worthy of the power we offer. No more begging, no more accepting scraps. If we do this, we commit to defending not just ourselves, but all species who face oppression. We become the shield, not the sword. Can humanity handle that responsibility?" President Okonkwo extended her hand. "We can try. And we can build systems to make sure we stay accountable." They shook hands. History shifted in that moment. The negotiations took 3 months. The Terran Accord's charter was carefully written, establishing clear chains of command, civilian oversight, and strict rules of engagement. The Ghost Fleet would become Special Operations Command, deployed only when Earth's government and a council of human colonies agreed it was necessary. Admiral Thorne would serve as Supreme Commander, but answerable to elected civilian leadership. Meanwhile, the galaxy was changing around them. With the Council's military power broken, smaller species began demanding reforms. The Vryn sovereignty faced internal rebellion. The Kalth Dominion split into 3 factions. The Tesseract Collective's leadership resigned in disgrace. Earth called for a new galactic conference. This time it would be held on Earth, and humanity would set the terms. Representatives from 60 species gathered in Geneva. The old council members arrived expecting to negotiate their return to power. Instead, they found something different. Chen, now promoted to Grand Admiral of the Terran Accord, presented humanity's proposal, a new galactic order based on equality, mutual defense, and accountability. Species could govern themselves without interference, but would face consequences for aggression or oppression, and humanity would serve as peacekeepers, using the Ghost Fleet's capabilities to protect those who could not protect themselves. The Vryn representative stood, his forearms trembling with rage. "You expect us to accept human authority? After you destroyed our fleets?" Chen met his gaze calmly. "No. We expect you to accept responsibility for your crimes. You orchestrated attacks on human colonies. You tried to start a war. Those actions have consequences. She displayed evidence the Ghost Fleet had gathered, proof of the Vrin's conspiracy. The room went silent. Here are humanity's terms, Chen continued. The Vrin sovereignty will acknowledge their crimes publicly. You will submit to human oversight of your military operations for 50 years. You will pay reparations to the families of those killed in your attacks. And if you ever threaten another species like you threatened us, we will remember, and we will respond. The Vrin representative looked around the room hoping for support. He found none. Other species were tired of the old power structures, tired of being pawns in games played by the strong. We accept, he finally said, his voice barely a whisper. The Treaty of Terra Nova was signed 6 months later. It established new rules for the galaxy. No species could maintain a military force large enough to threaten others. Disputes would be settled through arbitration, and the Terran Accord would serve as peacekeepers, not rulers. Not conquerors, protectors. 5 years passed. The galaxy adapted to the new order. Some species flourished without the Council's interference. Others struggled to adjust to a world where power came from cooperation instead of domination. But slowly, carefully, a new kind of peace emerged. On Earth, in a ceremony attended by representatives from dozens of worlds, Admiral Marcus Thorne officially retired from military service. He was ancient now, finally allowing himself to age naturally after centuries of fighting time itself. Chen stood beside him as he addressed the crowd. We became ghosts to protect humanity from the galaxy, Thorne said, his voice strong despite his age. We thought we needed to be monsters so humanity could stay innocent. But Commander Chen, now Grand Admiral Chen, taught me something important. Real power is not making others fear you. It is making them trust that your strength serves justice. He turned to Chen and removed the Ghost Fleet's command insignia from his uniform. I pass command of humanity's shadows to someone who understands that the best weapon is the one you never have to use. Someone who knows that true victory is not defeating your enemies but making them into friends. Chen accepted the insignia, feeling its weight both physical and symbolic. The Ghost Fleet would continue to exist, hidden in the dark between stars, ready if needed. But now they served something larger than revenge or survival. They served hope. The ceremony ended with a tradition the Ghost Fleet had maintained for 2 centuries. Every ship in the fleet, visible and hidden, broadcast a message across all frequencies. It was simple and clear, translated into every known language. We are the nightmare that protects the dream. We watch the shadows so others can live in light. We remember the fallen, honor the living, and guard the future. We are humanity's ghost, and we serve those who cannot defend themselves. May our weapons rust from disuse, but may our vigilance never sleep. Across the galaxy, parents told their children new stories. Not tales of conquest or glory, but stories about watchers in the dark. About ships that appeared when the innocent were threatened and vanished when justice was served. About a species that nearly destroyed itself, learned from its mistakes, and chose to protect others from similar fates. In the deep black of space, far from any star, a single Ghost Fleet vessel patrolled the frontier. Its hull was scarred from centuries of battle. Its crew descended from those who had first fled Earth. On its side, painted in dozens of languages, was the fleet's motto, "We are the nightmare that protects the dream." Inside the ship, young officers studied tactics and history, learning not just how to fight, but why some battles were worth fighting and others were not. They learned about the Council's arrogance, the Ghost Fleet's rage, and Chen's wisdom. They learned that strength without compassion was tyranny,